morning. Welcome to Matt Nair on Air. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach, Hot Calvin C on the board. Coming to you live. You don't like that one? Coming to you live from our studio in downtown Waukesha. We're still kicking around names for our producer, Calvin. So if you ever want to join us with a suggestion, 844-967-2789, or leave a comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and or Twitter. So excited to have our next guest here. And this came from in-house, our very own one and only Fancy Brian Kelly has a daughter in this program, and he is the one who turned us on to the Oak Creek Girls Basketball Club. The president, Carrie Grieving, joins us live. Good morning, Carrie. Thank you so much for making time for us. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Jane. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And also Brian. I guess I owe him now.
Brian's
so
excited about this. And he was like, and I know his daughter Darby has been involved in the basketball program for a while. But tell us about, first of all, the program and what is the goal of this basketball program?
Sure. So the Oak Creek Girls Youth Basketball Club is essentially a feeder program for our high school team. And that covers grades 3rd through 8th. And what we do is essentially organize all these youth basketball players into teams so that they start to learn the skills they're going to need if they think they're going to play in high school. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to play in high school.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that they don't decide at some point along the way it's not for them. But we try to make it so it's more than just, playing basketball. Yes, it's skills and all that kind of stuff, but we are very much community-based. We're trying to make good teammates. We're trying to, teach girls how to be part of a community and supporters, all that good stuff that, everyone should do with sports.
Watching 3rd graders play basketball must be, I just, joyful.
It's incredible. It is a wild time. I will tell you that. You will go and then you realize, I can't believe I'm spending my time watching this, but they're thrilled. They don't even care. They're just playing basketball with their friends. And also our youngest, when we get down to that 3rd grade level, we invite anyone. So if we, need to supplement or whatever, we let 2nd graders play. You have a 1st grader that loves to play basketball, send them our way, because they can learn a lot it doesn't matter how old you are.
So it's not necessarily about fielding a championship team. The whole goal is to, grow killers in basketball. And it's really just about learning different skills and all the different skills you can learn through a team sport. Right, Carrie?
Yes, that's exactly what it's about. It's not, wins and losses are never at the top of our list. It's nice to win. I mean, the girls want to win.
Sure.
It's also funny, you can see, but in a team, like, who's the competitive
Yeah,
players
I was going to say.
Who's there for a good time.
There's something like a 3rd grader saying, get it together.
Yeah, it's a little intense sometimes when you get players like that. I mean, others are just excited to have a uniform. Literally, that is the bottom line. They just are looking for a good time, which is what we support because everything's volunteer too. I should make that clear. We are not bringing in coaches who are creating dynasties or doing anything like that. These are volunteer coaches who mostly are parents who played basketball themselves, or, occasionally we have someone who teaches Phi Ed or has a background like that. But most of them are parents. And there are days when they all say, I can't believe I'm doing this. This is a lot for my spare time.
Well, and for grins and giggles, essentially. And again, if there are kids who want to develop and into more serious players, that is part of the program too. But that is not the overarching goal of this youth basketball program.
No, it's not at all. And it's also it's about the extra things that you do. We really are heavy on the teammate, like how to be a good teammate, how to be part of a team, which is why we do all the other fun stuff. Our shootout is essentially a fundraiser. So everything
that's this weekend, right? The shootout is this
coming
weekend.
Up this weekend. Yes, Saturday and Sunday. And ours is big. It's 82 teams. It's a lot of teams across the board, and it stretches 2 days. But we also, it's more about, yes, our teams are playing in that tournament, but they're also helping me, with sponsors. They're making puppy chow to sell at concessions. They're there. They have tattoos on and face paint, and having people come into their school and play in their tournament is a big deal.
I bet. Good heavens, 82 teams. Where are they all coming from?
Oh, all over the place. They're all over Wisconsin. Sometimes we get an Illinois team or two, but January
Eh,
weather
Not so
isn't
much.
great.
do they
Um,
do they count? I mean, they're Illinois.
right. I mean, we're not that welcoming, but anywhere in the state, De Pere, I think, is our farthest team this year. All the locals, which is also fun too, because it's our rivalries all show up. So Muskego's there, and Franklin's there, and South Milwaukee's there. And it's like a lesser level than the high school when they get together and play, but it's still very much the same idea.
If you're just joining us, Carrie Grieving is our guest. She is the president of the Oak Creek Girls Basketball Club, and they have their big shootout event that is happening this weekend over 2 days involving 82 different teams. Carrie, I was not an athlete as a kid. I was in theater. I was a theater kid.
Mm-hmm.
So that was where I learned teamwork of a different kind. And
You learned teamwork.
Yes, with jazz hands.
Yes.
But tell me about the other things that kids learn, especially girls can learn from a sports program.
Oh, it's unlimited. That's why when people always ask me, oh, how much time do you spend dribbling and doing all that kind of stuff? Yeah, they go to practice for that. But it's the learning to be like encouraging, supportive, especially when things are not going your way. How to, not turn on your team, how to play your role, how to listen. That's a big one. I mean,
bet.
if you want to talk to any of our coaches, like learning to listen and do what's asked of you without doing too much more, or learning your place on a team. Also being part more than just of the basketball team, but part of the program, part of Oak Creek. They're out there trying to get sponsors. They're trying to, help all the things that come in life where it's not just you, when it's not just about you. And even as a student, you're very kind of focused on yourself a lot of the times. You're not worried about your other students in class. Like, this is different because you are concerned about your team. You want everyone to succeed. You want your program to succeed. I love the shootout because we're all there on the same days. Typically, every team is scattered.
You're all over the place. Sure.
Right. We're playing in Waterford. Someone else is playing in Germantown. It's hard to see other teams, but for the shootout, we're all there. So other team, our third grade team will watch our eighth grade team and all of that. And it's just like, I don't know. I love youth sports. Has a lot of crazy stuff, but it has a lot of good stuff.
It sounds like you absolutely love it. I mean, and also like there's youth sports out there that is hard because it's taking kids all over the state for competitions. This is more,
right.
This is different. This sounds like a joyous time that like you, even I'm a non-parent, I would go and watch this. It sounds like a lot of fun. I'd go with Fancy Brian and we'd have a blast and buy some puppy chow.
Right.
Is there like, you mentioned like third graders and eighth graders. Do you have like a buddy system where like the eighth graders like have a buddy in the third grade or the fourth grade, kind of get them into it and maybe acclimate them if they're shy or just not feeling it at the point?
Yeah, we try. We really try because, well, what's funny is immediately the third graders come in and they'll see the eighth graders. They just see them.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, who are those girls? Like, it's so exciting. They're like superstars.
Yeah.
And then they go and see the high school girls, and it's even like a level. It's like Giannis is playing when our varsity team plays. It's very, I don't know. It's pretty fun to watch, but we do try to do that. It's the hardest part is scheduling because teams are never together. They're trying to get gym time. They're trying to get, they all play in different leagues.
Mm-hmm.
It's as much as we try, it's not always easy to do. What we do every single week is have a nights out player of the week.
Yeah.
So we can, spotlight, and rarely is it a player. It's usually a team or a group of players or a couple players. And that goes out to the program and on our Facebook page and all that so these faces. We had one of the teams go out and ring the, Salvation Army bells
cool.
and collect during the holidays. Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff that's nice out player of the week. It's not rebounds and, points scored.
And just the whole, I love your description of what they are learning and how important it is to look out for others other than just ourselves. Mm-hmm. And hopefully they will take all these lessons with them as they go on in life. And move into a community and get married and have kids and do those things. But that same kind of looking out for each other, we are all part of a whole as they get older, right?
Yeah, that's exactly the plan. It's what we want to see happen, and you see it. What's even better is in this kind of program, you get to see it happening. They all come in as strangers, and then it's wild when some of these players have played from 3rd through 8th grade together. Like, that's a lot of time to be a teammate. They've become very good friends, or even just quote unquote regular friends. Like, that matters, because then when you go to high school and you're going to play not only with your grade, but you'll play with other grades too and other players. But it's such a sense of community. It's also funny too, because as the shootout gets closer, I get girls who just want to be involved. Can I volunteer? Can I run admissions? They're just there. They're jazzed. They're ready to go.
That is so cool.
That's great.
It really is. And if you have time, Carrie would like you to stay for a second segment, if that's okay.
Oh, sure.
Oh, good. I want to talk more about 3rd graders dribbling,
Absolutely.
just because I think it's so funny.
I have a feeling. I recently went to an NBA game, and I feel like if I watched 3rd graders playing basketball, they would have a better grasp on the fundamentals than some of these $1 million players who are able to travel with such ease and double dribble and just break the rules with no caution to the wind.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If you want to go to a game with someone who will nitpick the Bucks apart, even though she's their very biggest fan, I will let you go with my daughter, who is like, she's in 7th grade, but she's like, travel, carry, double dribble.
Love it.
I'm like, are you having a good time? She's like, oh, I love this.
She's a ref in the making. All right, we got to go to break, Carrie. When we return, Carrie Grieving will still be with us. We're talking about the big Oak Creek Shootout, the Oak Creek Girls Basketball Club event happening this weekend. Stay with us. You're listening to Matt Nair on Air. We're coming to you across the Civic Media Radio Network.
They're playing basketball. We love that basketball. They're playing basketball. We love that basketball.
Good morning. Welcome to Matt Nair on Air, coming to you live across the Civic Media Radio Network. Thank you so very much for joining us. We are talking basketball. We're talking about the Oak Creek Shootout, girls basketball that is happening this coming weekend. And our guest is the president of the Oak Creek Girls Basketball Club, Carrie Grieving. Good morning, Carrie. Thank you so much for staying along for a second segment. I know you said there's 82 teams this weekend. Logistically, putting something like this together, and as you said, it's all volunteer. Just pulling this off successfully is really quite an accomplishment.
Oh, yeah, it really is. I start to lose sleep after January 1st. That's when I start to worry. Mostly it's a weather concern first.
Sure.
We don't want bad weather. Although we had a snowstorm last year and it still went off. So I don't know. I'll take that as a win. But yes, it is a big deal. We have two. So in Oak Creek, we have the 9th grade center, which is just for freshmen. And then we have our main school gym. So we are using the two big gyms in the main gym school, and then also the 9th grade center gyms. So 2 buildings means double everything, concessions, admissions, volunteers, gym supervisors, clocks and scores, all of the things that when you attend a tournament, you don't typically think about.
Sure.
But when you plan it, you really do. And we try so hard too to make it we want people to have good food. We aren't looking to just give you
just make money.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And we don't want you to have weird hot dogs. You're stuck there all day. You're playing all these games. sometimes you go to these concessions and you're just like, oh, not to say that we don't want people to go out like in the community. There's plenty of options around
Of
the
course.
school, but walking tacos and grilled cheeses and pizza and that kind of stuff. At least that's a step up from nothing.
Yeah,
It's a step up from weird hot dogs.
It is a step. I mean, we still have hot dogs, but they're not weird.
Not
They're
weird hot
absolutely
dogs, no.
good. You got rid of the weird hot dog vendor. That's always critical to weed them out.
yes, it's taken years, but we got it finally.
But too, and we've talked about this before, Carrie. It's so hard to find people who are willing to ref now. And the fact that you're able to recruit this many folks to do this for you, that's really something. I mean, that's a lot of teams and a lot of games.
And I also have to imagine, because this is more of a, this isn't the name of those teams where it's not high school or even school based. It's more like a community based basketball thing. So I don't imagine you have these psychotic parents who are like getting on the ref's case. Like, everyone's in this for the fun and we're having a good time.
Yes, that's it. Our program is very much that way. We're not there to cause trouble. These refs give up their time, and yes, they're being paid and it is their job, but they also don't have to sign up. I mean, they have the option of not choosing our tournament, and we don't really have that problem. Our vice president, he is very involved in the basketball community in Southeast Wisconsin, in Wisconsin in general, and has a lot of good contacts. So that helps us.
That's great.
But bottom line, if your tournament isn't run well, no one's going to ref.
No.
And then you can't do this.
And the word gets out too. People find out real quick.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Last year we had an issue, and we have zero tolerance to, anyone who's getting crazy and lippy or whatever as a fan. We don't need you at a youth basketball tournament. But last year we had one crazy situation where you just think to yourself, like, why am I here?
Yeah.
I don't understand how you're this upset about this, but you just take care of it and you hope that there's no more issues. And when you put on all these games, 123 games or whatever, you expect a little bit of something could go off kilter, but when it's just once, it's okay.
Oh, you're golden if all you have is one instance out of all of these events going on. And just as a reminder for parents, can you just keep in mind the example you're setting for your child?
Mm-hmm.
It's a small little thing.
That's why I don't think I could be a coach or even if I was a ref. None of that would stand. I would stop a game in the middle of a dribble and be like, you get out of my gym right now. No one needs you here.
No, absolutely not. I do like it when reps occasionally will, stand up for themselves or call out and say, like, no, we're not doing that. I also like that most parents, when called out like that, are incredibly, like, immediately
good
looking away, like, oh, you're going to respond to me? I'm not prepared for that. I thought I was just going to say things.
Good. I'm glad they're so a modicum of shame still exists. That gives That gives me hope for humanity.
Your hope is based on shame. Wow.
Well, sometimes it seems like people don't even feel shame anymore.
No, I agree.
I think that's
I agree with you 100%.
Yep. Just in the couple of minutes that we have left, if people want to go this weekend, if people would like to volunteer, Carrie, who should they contact? How do they go about this? How do they learn more?
Sure. Well, they could go to our Facebook page. Obviously, that's the easiest way to get in touch. Or you could just email me directly, which our email is a little tricky. It's ocgybc@gmail.com, which is Oak Creek Girls Youth Basketball Club. And you can find that very easily. And I can always help with anything that you need if you want to. I should say that games run from 8 a.m. until 9 p.m. on Saturday, and then 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. on Sunday. It's $5 admission across the board.
For the whole day?
$5 for the whole day.
Will Brian be there?
Brian will be there. Mm-hmm. I hope. If not, I'm going to tell him, I'm going to call him out.
If Brian's there on Sunday, I might have to go.
Just out of curiosity, because now I'm obsessed with third grade basketball. How long do the third grade games last? Is it?
We have 18-minute halves in our games, but it's running clock. So it takes a lot to stop a clock in a third grade game, because if you start stopping clocks, you'll be there for a year and you lose your job. You'll never see your family again.
The girls are now in 5th grade, and
they're all graduating now. It just took
Right.
forever.
How did I get here? Yeah, exactly.
And any other events that you have coming up over the course of the year, just as fundraisers, Carrie?
Oh, yeah, we do all sorts of things. We're big on the 4th of July parade. If you ever want to come to a parade, come to
ooh,
OC.
that'd be fun.
We give a lot of good swag. We also are, we're out and about at a lot of basketball, whether it's at Marquette or the Bucks or that kind of stuff. We also put on, we're looking for a summer concert this year that we might just put on as a fundraiser, since everyone always wants to be outside.
Sure.
We put 3-on-3 tournaments, all the things that are simple enough, but is nice for the community too.
Well done on this, Carrie, and all of your people who put this together and put it together so successfully. That's for all volunteer. That's what a wonderful example for the rest of us.
It's
fantastic.
fantastic.
I cannot thank our parents and our coaches enough. But bottom line,
Carrie Grieving is the president of the Oak Creek Girls Basketball Club, and their big OC shootout is this weekend. Thank you so very much for joining us, Carrie. It's been a lot of fun. Go girls.
Go girls.
That's right. Go Knights.
Go
Go
Knights.
Knights.
All right. And you third graders, go smack them. All right.
I'll let you know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Stay close. You're listening to Matt Nair on Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning. Welcome to Matt Nair on Air. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach, Dr. Dial, Calvin on the board, coming to you live from our studio in downtown Waukesha. Shout out to everybody listening in Oshkosh on WISS or on the buzz of the North in Hayward, WBZH.
You don't just say Dr. Dial and then walk on like nothing happened.
We're running it for test runs.
Dr. Dial actually sounds like a 70s DJ. Like, you're listening to Dr. Dial on the disco or whatever you call it back in the
Venus Flytrap.
What was the weirdest name for a 70s radio station? Like, like
Again, Johnny Fever and Venus Flytrap are the two that come to me from from WKRP.
Yeah, but I'm talking about in real life. Like, you're listening to something like, the disco or I don't know. I was 2, so I have no idea. I didn't listen to radio back then.
Oh.
Yeah, deal with it.
Yes, I joined radio when they were still steam operated. If you want to join us, 844-967-2789, 844-96.
A party.
Or you can leave a comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and or Twitter. That was a really fun half hour with Carrie Grieving from the Oak Creek Girls Basketball Club and what they're trying to do. And if you were watching in the live stream, I'm sure you could notice she just was glowing.
Yes.
Talking about this. She's
Sure
obviously
joy.
so excited about it and just having so much fun with it. So that's really lovely to see. Coming up in a little bit, 11:50, our own news guy for Civic Media, Stuart J. Wattles, who's based out of Racine, will be joining us live. He is in Big Bend. Vice President Kamala Harris is expected to speak about 12:15 today, so we'll get a little update of what is going on with Stuart. He did send us some pictures, and be patient if you're trying to get in there. It looks like there was a fair amount of traffic and things were moving a little bit slowly.
That's what happens when a VP comes to town.
She's going to be speaking most likely about the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Today is the 51st anniversary of the passing of Roe until it was overturned by the Dobbs decision. So that's coming up at 11:50. Right now, though, we want to talk about good things.
Oh, good things.
We want to talk about something. Tell me something good, Greg.
Tell me something good. Your hair looks great today.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I talked about this now a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
We had a new washer and dryer delivered, after we finally had our side door unboarded so that they could get it in and out. And they delivered it on New Year's Day, which I was not expecting
Yeah.
to do a delivery for appliances on New Year's Day, but they did, and they were wonderful. Fast and pleasant and smiling and just delightful, these two guys.
Yeah.
And over the weekend, I was thinking about that. We are also quick to complain
Oh, yes.
and very quick in expressing our displeasure with things.
Yes.
And so I went to and I got it through Lowe's, is where I got the washer dryer. And I went to their website because I wanted to see where I could leave a comment about what a great job these guys did.
Mm-hmm.
And those websites, they really don't want you to contact them. They say they do, but I feel that it's insincere.
Jane, bring it back to Joy.
Okay. So I'm looking and looking and looking, and I can't find anywhere to contact anybody where it's not going to just get lost, because this is a huge company.
Mm-hmm.
So I get the number for the Lowe's where we bought them, and I call, and I ask to speak to the manager or the assistant manager.
I speak to Bob Lowe.
Mr. Lowe, please. And I finally get the assistant manager, and I'm sure they thought that I was going to complain.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to give you guys a compliment.
Yes.
And I want to make sure the right guys get the message that the job they did has been recognized and appreciated.
Yeah.
And so I talked to this nice Lonnie for like 15 minutes. I said, I want to say something nice to you. He said, you do?
That's, yes, in customer service, when someone calls or writes an email to say thank you, you want to print it off or put them on speaker and run around and say, start a parade, because people don't really do that.
I don't think we do. I don't.
No.
I think, again, we're very quick to complain. We're
Yes.
very quick to point out flaws. And then when we do actually get good service, it's like, well, shouldn't I get good service? Well, of course you should. But at least in my experience in the last couple of years, good service is no longer a guarantee.
Well,
And so when you do receive it, I think it is worth acknowledging.
yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think you should always expect professional, respectful service. You know, you're not walking out of there on cloud nine, but you're also not walking out of there angry.
Right.
So if you get professional, respectful service, that is what you are owed, period. Great and good service are just icing on the cake to me. And we live in an increasingly dodgy time where individuals have an attitude towards those in the service industry that is, you're not good enough to get a better job. You don't want to work. Can you even handle this? Are you stupid? All these different things. So when someone comes along and says, hey, I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much. Let so-and-so know they were great. That goes a long way. I mean, not just for, you know, future promotions or whatever, but it just makes you feel like you're doing it right. And, you know, I when I go to somewhere that's customer service based, I'm always really nice, because my thought is, if I'm really nice to you, you might forget about it. That's fine. That's not a big deal. I'd rather be a source of joy or just a respectful, courteous encounter than be the person who, when you go home,
That
you
you
say,
tell a story about.
this guy was
Such a dick.
he ruined my day.
Yeah.
And so for me, like, I think what you did was absolutely wonderful, because you were right. We are a community and a society that connects on negative.
Yeah.
Because if I tell you that Bridget and I went to a really great restaurant, you're gonna be like, oh, that's great, cool. And then we move on to something else. But if I say we went to a restaurant and the service was terrible and we pile up, then all of a sudden you're gonna be like, oh yeah, well, me and my husband, we went to a restaurant too. And then we're 45 minutes, we're just whining instead of saying, I went to Lowe's and had a really good experience. I love that. It's great.
Well, and the again, Lonnie that I spoke with he said, you can just go to the bottom of the receipt and then go to the website and do it there. And I said, well, I will do that.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, that kind of stuff gets lost in the company algorithm and it just gets filtered down. And I told Lonnie, I said, I want to make sure these two guys, because I know you can track down who they were.
Mm-hmm.
They drove it from Chicago. The one has been doing installations on this for 31 years. I would just like to make sure that they are going to get the recognition that they should.
Well, we talked about this earlier, and if I have a really bad customer service experience, I will fill out an online form. They usually send something to you. It's like, how did we do? I'm like, oh, I'm going to tell you. And more times than not, I get responses back from regional managers, district managers who say things like, how can we make this better? That was never our intention. And that's great. And sometimes I'm like, well, it's, I want the target, you did the things I needed. So there's nothing you can really do, but I appreciate you responding to me. If you fill out those forms and you really, you take some time and you describe it, that will catch their eye.
It will.
It will. All the time, whenever I go to the Lego store, I always leave a review and they write their names down on your receipt so you can reference them, because I want to make sure that they get the credit for being good at their job.
Yeah.
So I think if you want to pass along a good note, go to the website, leave a little like an email almost, and say the experience, give them a little backstory, and that will catch a manager's eye. And whether they contact you is another thing, but I guarantee you that word will probably trickle down to somebody.
And that's all I want.
Yeah.
It's not like I need them to get back to me. I think in this day and age when we are all so quick to complain and point out the flaws in just about everything, which I would never personally do.
Not right now, at least.
Not in this segment anyway.
Yeah.
So I think if you are a manager or a former manager, I'm curious, does this make a difference when people actually call you to leave a compliment?
Yeah.
844-967-2789, 844-96.
Party.
Or is this something that you have done like me? You're old and this is what I spend my time on.
When my wife and I moved to Kenosha, I found my alderman and I just sent him an email saying, hey, just let you know, me and my wife moved into the neighborhood. Hopefully we can meet someday. Just introducing ourselves to the community. And he just rolled back and goes, wow, it's really great to get an email where someone's not yelling at me through caps lock. But that's what we're used to now. If you work in a certain industries, you don't get contacted unless someone's angry at you. And when they're angry at you because you ruined their world, when really you've just messed up their coffee. And really they didn't mess up their coffee. They just ordered incorrectly.
But that blows my mind too, though. It takes so little now, it seems, to set us off.
Yeah.
Like getting a coffee order wrong. Like this is going to destroy the entire course of the rest of your life because it was the wrong vanilla flavor or whatever.
I think that's directly tied to the fact that we live in a world where our entertainment is filled with individuals who get paid millions of dollars
to complain,
to act like children and have these sort of reactions because that's what we crave. We don't crave a reality TV show because watching people in reality is boring. We want to see them absolutely ruin their lives while being complete children about it. So when we see people being rude to customer service or, getting their way, no matter how poorly they act, we now have ingested that behavior and we're like, well, it worked for them.
Yeah,
that's
not reality.
You meet people, you're like, oh, no manager has ever said no to you in your life, have they? And because that's what we're being fed now. So that's why it's important to be kind to people who are taking care of you. And I'm not saying buy them a car, literally just a smile. Thank you. The amount of time someone should say, I hope you have a great day. Little
teensy things, people. Seriously, just little eensy beansy things. If I run into a woman in the grocery store and I like her shoes or I like her hairstyle,
oh my gosh, yeah,
just little compliments, and that can really make a difference for somebody because you don't know what kind of a day they're having.
I saw a woman at the airport last week and I just loved her shoes and I said, I love your Jordans, and as a guy, there's a part of me that says, don't say anything, but I was just like, I'm going to say, I love your Jordans and walk off. And that's it.
So you're not creeping her out or anything.
And I said, I love your Jordans. And she was like, thank you so much.
Little things.
Yes. I love the little things.
We can do little things.
Yeah, of course we can.
All right.
We're capable of doing that much at least.
When we return, we are going to be talking to Civic News Media's reporter based in Racine, Stuart J. Wattles.
Mr.
Stuart J. Wattles is going to be joining us on the phone. He is in Big Bend. We are waiting for Vice President Kamala Harris, who is going to be speaking, I believe, around 12:15.
Yeah.
That tends to be
If they say,
a little. We'll see what happens.
if they say 12:15, they made 12:45. I don't know why. I just want to do it now. I feel like
one compliment went to your head.
I feel like I finally found my Trump. She's gonna be in Big Bend, because that's how he says all city names. I'm going to Manhattan. Then I turn into like Billy Crystal. I don't know what happened.
There's a weird something going on.
No, I turned into Jerry Lewis.
Yes, it's a Trump Jerry Lewis kind of thing, which actually kind of works.
I have the biggest brains.
When we return, we're going to get serious.
Serious about the
serious
news.
about this. Stuart J. Wattles is going to be with us. Stay close. You're listening to Matt Nair on Air. We're coming to you across the silly Civic Media Radio Network.
Side. Girl, you really got me now. You got me so I can't sleep at night. Yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing. Oh yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I can't sleep at night. You really got me. You really got me. You really got me.
Good morning. Welcome to Matt Nair on Air. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach, Calvin on the board, coming to you live from our studio in downtown Waukesha. You can always join us. Call or text 844-967-2789 or leave a comment on the live stream if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, and or Twitter. Vice President Kamala Harris stopping today in Big Bend, and he's normally in Racine, but he is in Big Bend this morning, part of our Civic Media radio family. Stuart J. Wattles. Good morning, Stuart. Thanks so much for joining us. What's happening?
Good morning to you. It's an honor and a pleasure to be.
Oh, Stuart, where'd you go, Stuart?
Oh, there you're.
Hello?
Yep. Oh, there. That sounds a little bit better. Your connection
There we go.
was cutting out a little bit.
It's just an honor and a pleasure to be on with you, Jane. And just before we get too much further, the best bumper music in all of Civic Media, Matt Nair on Air. You guys bring out the jams.
Well, thank you.
That's the board lord.
That's the board lord. That's the Dr.
Yeah,
Switch.
I heard him playing the Judds a couple of weeks ago. Yes, they're playing the Judds. Look at you guys.
Thank you so much, Stuart, for the compliment. Really appreciate it, and love having you with us on board. Your newscasts are terrific, and our news team is doing such an excellent job now. You are in Big Bend, correct?
I am in Big Bend, the village of.
And what time is the vice is the Vice President Harris here yet?
You know, I don't know if she's here yet. I think I saw the traveling press corps just come in a couple of minutes ago. You can kind of tell they come in later and they look like they've been running around. But I think that they may indicate her arrival. I'm not 100% on that. But like you said earlier, we're looking at like 12:15, 12:30, which could mean 12:45 or 1. So we're standing by. Oh, there's stuff going on here. There's a vocal group that's been performing throughout the morning. It's a borderline hootenanny going on here.
Oh, is that the name?
It is. They've been singing this one. No, but they've been doing This Land Is Your Land. They've been doing some call and answer type stuff. Yeah, they're having fun up there.
Oh, that's good.
Keeping the crowd entertained as they wait around.
So is everything pretty? Now, tell us the business where she's speaking, or the facility where she's speaking today.
Let me get this right because I can never remember it. We're International Union of Painters and Allied Trades. That's right.
Okay.
I got a friend with the sheriff's department standing here with me that's helping out.
Just so you get it right.
Pointing me in the direction where the sign was. Well, yeah, we're just making sure we're crossing T's and dotting I's, things of that sort.
Well, and from what we understand, Stuart, her speech is to be focused very much on the lack of abortion access now in this country. And in Wisconsin, when Dobbs was overturned, we went back to an 1849 ban. That has since been changed. Abortions are once again allowed in Wisconsin. That's not necessarily the case in a lot of states across the country, but that is expected to be the focus of her speech today, correct?
Oh, yeah, and that's what the signs will tell you, too. A big sign standing behind where the president or vice president will be, a big sign saying, fight for reproductive freedoms. So there's no hiding about what the speech here today is about. Yeah. And they've had a few speakers throughout the morning come up and tell some local stories about what's going on in Milwaukee, Waukesha. So they're kind of tying together the community before the vice president arrives.
And what about counter protesters? We spoke to Mike Crute earlier this morning. He called in and said that there were some pro-Palestinian signage.
Yeah, I shot some pictures to you two, and I think to our social media guy. There wasn't a lot of them. I'd say 6 or 7 of them out there with flags and signs of varying messages. And again, there weren't that many of them. What was more causing the delay getting in was just Secret Service. It's just these rural roads, and you get a backup, and they need to search everything and everywhere. Open your hood, open your trunk. Let me go through here. You got any fillings? All that sort of thing. So that's more of the delay getting in than the protesters. They're about a block away, a block west on National, if you know the area.
Yeah.
We're right off of 43. Just I guess to set the tone, right off of 43 near 164. Yep. Is where this location is. So you can kind of get to it on National from both ways. And there were backups. And again, like I said, maybe a block west of here is where 6 or 7 protesters have gathered.
I know exactly where that is. And Big Bend is not the big city to begin with. And that area is certainly, it's very small town.
Well, and 2-lane, right? 2-lane roads, I would think.
Yeah.
And
right. And I guess speaking to that small town nature, it's kind of interesting for this village to be picked as a stop for this sort of thing. And I'm guessing the venue had something to do with it.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's more of a small town, rural area.
But I think, and personally, I think this is indicative, Stuart, that there is a lot more support among women, even in what were formerly predominantly red counties. There is a lot of bipartisan support for women's reproductive freedoms. And this is why the vice president is stopping in Waukesha County, which used to be a very reliable voting block. And I think that's changing.
And not the city, Big Bend. That's not the city of Waukesha, but Big Bend. That's a very, very red area.
Well, and like you're saying, that kind of speaks to this type of event in this location. Like you're saying, Jane, targeting those women wherever they are. It doesn't matter if they're in the big city, little cities, where they're coming at you with their message that they think is going to work.
And I don't think it's just women either, Stuart. I think it's reaching out to men. And I think the more that we talk about this issue, we are all learning things about this. And it is not a black and white, one size fits all in every instance. And those nuances are critically important, vitally important. And we talk a lot off the air, Greg, about how important it is for the men to come forward and support the women that they have in their lives when it comes to controlling their own bodies.
Yeah.
And what's strange now that you say that, I'm looking up at this choir, and it's a men's choir here, Jane, performing for about 70-30 women at this event right here as we speak. Yeah, but that's kind of what the lay of the land is here right now, about 70-30. I did notice a couple of vans, kind of buses that came in, and they did encourage people to carpool because of the limited resources with parking.
Sure,
so some groups, I think, got together and came on in, and they're waiting.
Stuart, you will be doing reports. Are we going to take her live? Do you know when the vice president starts speaking?
I don't know if it's full in total. I think that there's been discussion about kind of dipping in and dipping out, maybe taking a minute or two there. I've been in communication with Todd, so I think I'll be checking with Mr. Albaugh coming up after the top of the hour, sometime in the noon o'clock hour. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for being our boots on the ground. Thank you so much for joining us, Stuart. We will absolutely talk again and Keep us posted. Stay close. The news is coming up next, as Stuart mentioned, followed by the wonderful The Todd Father, the Todd Allbash Show from noon until 2 p.m. Thank you so very, very much for joining us. Thank you for calling. Thank you for texting. Thank you for listening. I hope you find some joy today and you have the chance to share it. Stay close. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.